Hello students, I am Fred Asibe. In today's lesson, I will be teaching on a topic called broad practice. But before I proceed, I want us to know the objective of today's lesson. Now, the objective of today's lesson is that at the end of this lesson, you should be able to define broad practice, and you should be able to identify drawing instruments and materials and their uses. And you should be able to fix drawing papers correctly on a drawing board. Then you should also be able to draw border lines. Not only drawing the border lines correctly, you should also be able to draw title blocks correctly. And finally, the last and not the least, you should be able to write freehand legible letters and numerals in a title block. So these are the objectives of today's lesson. Now, before I proceed, I want us to look at what board practice is all about. Now, when you hear the word board practice as a topic, board practice is about the ability to use drawing instruments and materials to produce good and neat drawing accurately. Let me still say it again. Board practice is the ability to use drawing instruments and materials to produce good and neat drawing accurately. And this can only be achieved when you use correct instruments and drawing papers in a proper way. Now, when you use correct instruments in a proper way, you can produce good and neat drawing, because that's the first target once you are drawing. Now, we want to look at some of these drawing instruments. Now, some of the drawing instruments we have include what we call the set square, compass, pair of divider, protractor, French curve, and flexible curve. We have the metric rule. We have also the dividers. Now let's start with the set square. Now, what do you mean by set square? Set squares are used to draw vertical, diagonal, or inclined lines. Yes, I said it again. Set squares are used to draw vertical, diagonal, or inclined lines. This is a good example of set square. So they are used in drawing vertical lines. This is vertical. This is diagonal or inclined lines. So the set squares are used in drawing the vertical line and diagonal lines. So there are two types of set square. We have the 60 and 30. This is 60 and 30. As you can see, the right angle triangle shape. It has 60 and 30. This is the right angle triangle shape. So we also have the isosceles triangle. The isosceles triangle have two of its sizes equal. In other words, what it means is that if the two sizes are equal of isosceles triangles, the base angles are also equal. So what the base angles here are 45 degrees. This is 45 degrees. This is also 45. So this can be used to draw inclined lines of 45 degrees. Where you can apply this is when it comes to oblique drawing. Where you can also use this is what we call the isometric drawing. That is, for the receding lines are 30 degrees, while the oblique drawings, the receding lines are 45 degrees. So these two set squares are the two types of set squares we have in the mathematical set. You can also buy them in sets. So this is exactly what we call the set squares. So they are used once again to draw vertical lines and inclined lines. They are triangular in shape. The sum of angle in this set square, as you all know, the sum of angle in a triangle is 180 degrees. This is 60 and 30 and 90, that is 180. This is 45, 45 for isosceles triangle, and 90, this is 180 degrees. So the sum of the angle here, 45 plus 45 plus this 90, will give you 180 degrees, which is sum of angle in a triangle. So that's exactly what the set square is all about. So we use it to draw the inclined line and the vertical lines, or you can also call it the diagonal lines. Now we have the next one we call the compass. Now the compass is used in drawing circles of different diameters. You can also use it to draw the arc or circles of different diameter. You can just insert the pencil through this point, then fix this. So mostly the kind of pencil you should use is the short pencils, not the long one, because if you use a long pencil, it will stop you from swinging this into circles and arc. because this thing, your hands will obstruct it because it's longer. But once you use the short one, you can swing it to any direction. You can produce any arc or circles of different diameters at your convenience. So that's exactly what this compass is used for. Now we also have the divider. Now what is the divider used for? Now the divider is used in transferring dimension from the ruler to the drawing paper. It is used in transferring dimension. Like, what do I mean by transferring dimension? For instance, if you take a distance from 0 cm to 3 cm, that is 3 centimeter, this will give us 3 cm. And probably you don't want to be carrying the ruler about measuring 3 cm everywhere. Maybe this you want is 3 cm. You can simply just take your measurement using your pair of divider, take the 3 cm and transfer it. We all know from here to here is transferred. We have transferred 3 cm here. We also have transferred 3 cm here. You also can transfer 3 cm here. That's exactly what a pair of divider does. So it is used in transferring dimension from the ruler to the drawing paper. That's what a pair of divider is used for. Now we also have the protractor. Now the protractor itself is a semicircular in shape. As you can see, this is a semicircle. That's why we say it's semicircular in shape. So it is used in measuring angles. You can see the angles ranges from 0 degree to 180 degrees. We all know angle on a straight line is 180 degrees. So the semicircular shape, which is this protractor, is used in measuring angle. So the protractor, as I said, is used for measuring angles. You know, angles are measured in degrees. That's the unit of angle. So this is what we use in measuring angles. If we want to measure 90 degrees, 180 degrees, from 0 to 180 degrees, you can always get them through the protractor. Now we also have the metric rule. Yeah, this is a good example of a metric rule. The metric rule comes in different forms. We'll have these ones made up of wooden metric rule. Yes, this is the wooden one. This is the plastic one. So these are the two types of metric rule. It comes in different forms. So the wooden metric rules are used in measuring straight lines. You can use them to measure straight lines. You can also use them to draw straight lines. So that's exactly what the metric rule is used for. So this is what's called the metric rule. Now we also have what's called the curves. Now these curves comes in different forms. We have what we call the French curve. We also have what we call the flexible curve. Now, as you can see, this is why we call this flexible, is because the curves can be bent in any direction you want. If you want to produce a curve that looks like C, you can just put it here and take the shape as C. If you want to produce something that looks like this shape, you can only just take this shape and then produce what you want. So that's exactly what flexible curve. That's why it's called flexible. Just as the name implies, flexible curve. You can bend it any direction you want. You can bend the curve to any direction you want. Now we also have what we call the French curve. This is the French curve. The French curve is a kind of fixed curve. You can take any shape of any circle you want, any curve of your choice at your own convenience, depending what you want. So exactly what you want from the drawing. So that's why we call it the French curve. So it's a fixed curve. So there are two types of curves. We have the flexible curve and the French curve. They are used in producing curves of different form. So these are the types of curves. So we have the next one we call the template. Now the template, as you all know, is used by draftsmen or designers to draw various geometric shape, letters, and alphabets. So these are a good example of templates. So the templates, as you can see, we have the lettered one, which is alphabetical one. We have the numerals. You can see them written. So this is a good example of a template. So you can use them to write your names, produce different curves. These are different shapes, geometrical shapes you want, any type of curve you want to get from this place. So they are used by draftsmen and designers to draw various geometric shape, letters, and alphabet. That is why it is called template. So these are the drawing instruments we have. We also have the eraser. The eraser is used in erasing mistakes or deleting mistakes. So whenever there is mistakes in your drawing, you can use it to delete or clean your mistakes. You know, we are humans, we are prone to mistakes. So sometimes nobody's above mistakes. Sometimes when you make small mistakes, you can delete it So this is what it is. So that's the eraser. It comes with different forms and different sizes. So that's exactly what it is. We also have the sharpener. The sharpener is also used in sharpening of our pencils. So you can sharpen your pencil to the conical point. In order to produce good and neat drawing, you need to sharpen your pencil to the conical point so that you can produce thin lines and thick lines, because these lines are informations to engineers. They are just part of the languages, because once you see a thin line, it means something in a drawing. A thick line also gives you a meaning in drawing. It has its own meaning in drawing. So you can only produce these lines if you have well sharpened pencil to a conical point. So this is exactly what the sharpener does. It sharpens the pencil to the conical point. So these are the things you need to know. Now we also have the drawing board. Now as you can see, this is the drawing board. So this drawing board, as you can see, is used to place paper on it. So the drawing board they are all used as a platform, wooden platform on which drawing paper are placed on. So it is a wooden platform on which drawing paper is placed before drawing commences. So it's a wooden platform on which drawing paper is placed before drawing commences. So this wooden platform comes in different form. This drawing board comes in different form. We have what we call the full imperial. We also have what we call the half imperial. We talk about the full imperial. This is the type of drawing board used by draftsmen in the studio. Yes, you must have seen the artists and the architecturers using the full imperial. So you can see them sit on this two very big board. So that's what's called the full imperial size of the drawing board. Now another type of drawing board we have is the half imperial. Now the half imperial is the type of board used by students for simple work. Yes, this is a good example of half imperial. It's used by students for simple works, to produce simple works. So you can see them, it's as simple as it is. It's mostly used by students. So these are the types of the drawing boards we have. Now we have another one we call the T-square. Now the T-square, as you can see, as the name implies, it has T shape. So the shape is actually what gives him the name T-square. This is what we call the stock of the T-square, while this is the blade. Now the T-square is used in drawing horizontal line. It's not only used in drawing horizontal line, it can also be used to support set squares. What do I mean by supporting set squares? Yes, when you get a set square and place it on it, you can always use it to place set squares. Like for instance, after we make sure the stock is aligned with the edge here. So you can see this is the stock, the head. Make sure it's properly aligned with the edge or the size of the drawing board here. And then once it is aligned, then place your drawing paper at the center of your drawing board. Then having done that, you can use this. Maybe you want to produce a vertical line. You can just place the set square. Remember I told you earlier what the set square is used for. It can be used to draw inclined line. You can also use it to draw a vertical line. So that's why we say the T-square is used in drawing horizontal line and also used in supporting set squares during drawing. So these are the uses of set square. Already everybody should know what the pencil is used for. The pencil is used for sketching and drawing. We have grades of pencils. There are different grades, what we call grades of pencils. We have what's called, these grades of pencils are just like the types of pencils we have. We'll have the HB pencil, we'll have the B pencils, we'll have the H pencils. Now when we talk about the B pencils are used to draw all construction lines. So yes, the B pencils are used to draw all straight construction lines. Why do we use B pencil to draw all straight construction lines? The B pencils are soft and black, so they can produce thin lines, and they have of different grades. We have what's called the B pencil of itself. We also have the 2B, we have 3B, we have 4B, we have 5B, we have 6B, we have 8B pencils. These are different grades of what? Pencils. Now we also have what's called the H pencil. Yes, the H pencil is used in drawing visible outlines. What I mean by visible outlines is that the lines are very thick. So it is called hard pencil. That's, as the name implies, hedge pencil. So they are used in drawing visible outline. When you want to line in your drawing after using your thin construction lines to draw your objects, you can use the hedge pencils to line in to make it thick and visible. So that's what the hedge pencils are used for. Now, the hedge pencils have their grades. We have the hedge pencil, just like the way we have the B pencil. We also have the 2H, just the way we have 2B pencil. We also have the vertical pen, the 3H pencil. We have the 4H pencil, 5H pencil, 6H pencil, 7H pencils, and 8H pencil. So that's exactly what the pencils are used for. So we also have what's called the HB pencil. Yes, that's the commonly used one. Most times when you go to the market, most of the pencils people buy is the HB pencil. Why is it called HB pencil? Because it's a pencil that is in between the hard and soft pencils that they can use for freehand sketching. That's what you commonly use in your shading. During the exams, you use it for shading options. So that's exactly what it is. So it is in between the soft and the hard pencils. So that's why we call it the HB pencil. So these are the three grades of pencils we have. Remember, once again, we have the grades of pencils. We have the H pencil, which is used for thin construction lines. We also have the B pencil, which is used for thin construction lines. We also have the H pencil, which is used for visible outlines. We also have the HB pencil, which is used for freehand sketching. So these are the types of pencils or grades of pencils, as the name implies, that we have. All right, so we have the drawing paper. The drawing paper is nothing but a drawing. It is usually white in sheet. It's a paper on which drawing is produced. So a paper on which drawing is produced is what we call a drawing paper. This white, it mostly comes in white sheets. We prefer using white sheets so that you can see your drawing very well. So the drawing paper is a paper on which drawing is produced. So whatever paper you use in producing your drawing, that becomes your drawing paper. So that's exactly what drawing paper is all about. So we have the different types of paper. We have the A2, A3, A4, and so on. So these are different types. They come with different sizes. So these are the things you should know about these drawing materials and instruments. So that's it for that, drawing instruments and materials and their uses. So we'll be looking at borderline, the borderline. So before we look at that borderline, we have to know how to set our papers on drawing board. And some of you students, I know sometimes setting paper on the board is very difficult task or challenge. Some of you find, some of you don't even know. Sometimes you can see the paper can be placed on diagonally. Somebody will just mistakenly place it this way. But before you do that, you have to make sure the paper is at the center of your drawing board. This is the simple drawing board. I remember I told you it's half imperial, used for students for simple work. So this is the drawing paper. As you can see, it's placed on the drawing board. It's a platform on which drawing commences. You can place your drawing paper and then commence your drawing. So now, this is the drawing paper, for instance. Now, how do we place it? Now, when you bring a drawing paper, keep it at the center, then bring your T-square. Place your T-square, allow the stock to align with the edge. I hope students are you all seeing it. Yes. Get this stock aligned with the edge. Now, if you have done that, then place your T, make sure you slide this T-square stocks. Then keep the paper to align. The reason why we have to place this thing this way is that we are not just doing this thing. Nothing just happened for nothing. There's a reason for every action taken here. Now, look at this. Placing these stocks at the edge here simply means any paper you produce this place, if you place any paper along the line edge of this horizontal line, even if you want to draw any horizontal line along this place, everything you're going to produce here is horizontal line. Remember, we told you that the T-square is used in drawing horizontal line. So placing this thing at the center or aligning it with the edge here will give us a complete horizontal line. So if you align this thing in line with the edge of the T-square before you paste it, so in other words, what it means is that if you take this T-square and place it here, any line you draw here will give you horizontal line. Remember, I've told you what the T-square is used for. This T-square is used for producing horizontal lines. So we are going to set our paper on the drawing board. Now, how do we do that? Now, first of all, keep the T-square aligned with the stop by the side. Place your drawing paper at the center of your drawing board. If you have done that, then cut out 4 sellotapes. You have to cut out 4 sellotapes. Place them at the edge of the drawing paper. Then bring these sellotapes and place them at the 4 corner side of the drawing paper at the edge. Place one here, then place the other at the other here. If you're pressing, press it across. And if you're doing this, make sure the paper is horizontal, it's rightly placed, very flat, so that it doesn't create any hole. So set in a way that the drawing will not be having any hole. So you make it very flat. You can flatten, keep it very flat so that you don't produce anything that will not make the drawing to be neat. So after doing that, you take another 4. You have to cut out 4 pieces. Remember I told you it has to be 4 pieces. Place the other one at this edge. So when you do that, then the next thing you're going to do is you take the 4th sellotape, place them around this area. So I hope you're all seeing that now. So you can see the drawing is must make sure your hands are very neat. Sometimes the process of trying to make this flat, but preferably what I should advise you is to use your T-square. Make sure it is very flat. Slide it over and over to make sure the drawing paper is in order. Now, having done that, the next thing you are going to do now is to use your pencil and then produce this borderline. How do we set up the borderline? Now, the borderline, as I earlier told you, now when you talk about the borderline, what do we mean by borderline? Now, borderlines are lines drawn around the 4 edges of the drawing paper. Any line drawn around the 4 edges of the drawing paper is what we call the borderline. So now, how do you produce this borderline? Now, first of all, you have to take 10 millimeter, measure out 10 millimeter. 10 millimeter is just the same thing as 10 centimeter. So a very good instrument that will help us in this producing of a borderline is going to be the pair of divider. Remember I told you what the pair of divider is used for. It is used in transferring what? Measurement. So we are going to get 10 millimeter. 10 millimeter means something as 1 centimeter. So when you take this is the measurement. You measure 10 millimeter, take it. This is 1 centimeter. See the gap from the 0 to 1 here is 10 millimeter. So you take this dimension. Once you take this dimension, so whatever it is now, you see, whatever I have between this radius of this compass is what we call the 10 millimeter, which is something as 1 centimeter. If you don't want to do that, there are 2 methods. You can use your rule as well, but let us use this. Then if you use this, make sure you have to be very, very careful. Then come to the edge of the drawing paper here, at the corner edge here, mark out 10 here. This means the gap from here to here is 10. From here to this place is 10 millimeter, which is something as 1 centimeter. Come to this other edge of this place, mark out the same 10 millimeter. Are you all seeing that, students? Then come to this other edge. You have to do this round the corner of all this paper. Then come to this place, the same thing. Make sure you don't allow this thing to shift. Mark out this point. Yes, you see the gap from here to here is 10 millimeter, which is something as 1 centimeter. Then the same thing applicable is here. It's applicable to this point. Measure out 10 millimeter. So come to this point, virtually all the sizes, so that when you place your rule, you just play it. But don't shift it. You have to be very, very careful. For you to be a good draftsman or a designer, one thing is very necessary, that is being careful. So you mark out 10 millimeter, at the four corner edge, you don't so make it so very, visible, so that nobody will know. But actually, within you yourself, you know where you made your marks, or where you have marked out. So you mark out 10 millimeter here. Also mark out at the end here 10 millimeter. So all the corners have to be measured with 10 millimeter. I hope you're getting that now. Now, having done this, now you have idea where these lines are. So if you don't want to use that same method, you can use your rule. You can just use your rule. This is from 0 to 1 here is 10 millimeter. You mark it. You can also use your rule. 0 to 1 here is 10 millimeter. You mark it. Come to this edge. 0 to 1 is 10 millimeter. You mark it. Come to this point. 0 to 1 here is 10 millimeter. You mark it. Come to this point. 0 to 1 here is 10 millimeter. Come to this point. 0 to 1 here is 10 millimeter. You mark it. Come to this point. 0 to 1 here is 10 millimeter. You mark it. So you do it around the drawing. Make sure everything is neat. Then the next you have to do now is to use your T-square. If your rule is not okay, then use your T-square. The T-square is used for horizontal line. So use your T-square. Join these points you have marked on the drawing paper. Join them, produce this thing. Now look at as I'm doing it now. You see, I'm passing through the point. This is where I marked. This is another place I marked. So I'm going to join this point now. You see, I've produced the first borderline. This is borderline. Remember I told you the borderlines are lines drawn around the four edges of the drawing paper. So you see, you have to extend this line. If possible, draw them so thin so that if you extend it more than the line, you can easily erase them. Now, having done that, you have to be very careful so that you don't produce double lines, because they are not necessary. It will make your work very dirty. So the next thing you have to do now is to place your T-square the other side, join up the points where you mark, and then produce the borderline. Join the points. Make sure it passes through those points you marked. You have to do that. By drawing that, don't overshade. Just draw it once to avoid creating double lines, because double lines are not necessary in this drawing. They are not important. They will make your work look dirty. So you come to the other edge where you mark out the 10 millimeter again, and then join up the points. So by joining the points, you join them. This is the first point. This is the second point here. So I now have to join them using your T-square. So you join it. Make sure it joins with this. See, gradually the borderline is gradually coming out. So the next thing you have to do now is to join up under this point. This is the point where I marked initially 10 millimeter from the corner of the paper. So you join the points. So by joining it, you produced a borderline. Have you seen how it is done now? So having done this, I know if you look at this drawing now, we are not completely joined, because I'm not just trying to join them easily, but the most important thing is to get the lines drawn from those points I marked. The next thing you're going to do now is to use your small rule. You can even use this one or the one that you use in your mathematical set. Yes, then complete the joining. You can use this to complete it. Then complete the lines. Make sure you don't create double lines. You have to be very, very careful when doing this. That's the only way you can produce good and neat drawing. So you join up the points, the lines, complete the lines so that they will now join properly after using your T-square. It's not necessary using your T-square to do that. If you are very careful, you can do that. But to avoid mistakes, do that later on. Join the points with your small rule, complete the joining, and produce your borderline. So you see, the borderline will not allow you to draw something outside this point. So that's the sense of creating, because that borderline will make your work look neat. And every person that looks at it will know that this is a good draftsman. So this is a good designer. So join up the points and then make sure they are in line with the drawing lines. So you can see, as you can see now, we have produced the lines we call the border lines. So these are what we call the border lines. What it means is that when drawing, you cannot exceed beyond this point. It's just like your normal exercise book. You have that red line drawn. You can write and write over that page. written drawn with lines. So that's exactly what the borderline, it guides you that your drawing should be within this platform. It should be within this area. So that's exactly what it is. So having done that, the next thing we are going to do is we are going to draw the title block. This is how it is done now. You have, at least you have seen how the borderline is being drawn using 11 cm or 10 millimeter to draw it. So these are 10 millimeters. You can see you can produce, when you produce a good thing, it has its own mark, because these are some of the things we consider when we are marking. We have to take the measurement of the borderline. You don't just come in and draw anyhow. The real dimension for it is 1 cm, or if you don't want to call it 1 cm, you call it 10 millimeter. 10 millimeter is something as 1 cm. So that's exactly what it is. Now, having done that, the next thing we're going to do now is to draw the title block. Now, how do we draw the title block? Now, in this case, you have to use your rule. Measure 100 millimeter. 100 millimeter is the same thing as 10 centimeter at the base of this line. So mark out 100 millimeter, which is the same thing as 10 centimeter. Then make sure it passes. You can also use your pair of divider. Remember, the divider plays a very important role. Take 10 centimeter, which is the same thing as 100 millimeter. Expand the legs, that's the radius, what you call the radius. So when you have this, you set this at the 0 point, set this point at the 10th line. Expand it in a way that at least it is in line with the 10 centimeter. So you expand it. So having done that, you can see this distance. Remember, I told you what the compass is, a pair of divider is used. Used in transferring measurement. You see, the measurement I've taken from this point 0 now to 10 is 10 millimeter, 10 centimeter, which is something as 100 millimeter. So you can use it to transfer. Any point, what it means is that anywhere I take this into, it's 10 millimeter, 10 centimeter, which is something as 100 millimeter. So I have to take this, I will take this distance, measure it from this point to this point. I have to take this distance, I have to measure this from this point to this point means it is what? Along the borderline. It means here is 10 centimeter, which is something as what? 10 millimeter. If you can use your rule, if you don't want to use this compass, you can also use your rule to do that. So you can see it's still the same thing. I'm saying it now from here to here now is 10 centimeter, which is the same thing as 100 millimeter. Is that clear now? So that's exactly what it is. Now, having done that, you take note of it, because this is where it stops. Because sometimes students are so very busy that they will just not see where they make the marks. The marks are very, very important, because we are all working with dimensions here. Now, the next you're going to do now is to look at the information given to you. Now, what are the necessary informations given to you? Sometimes an information may be given to you up to 5. Remember, I told you the most important thing about drawing is that it gives you the information.